Hello, all you majestic people out there. Welcome back to Colette and Matt Have Entered the Chat, which is a weekly conversation about video games. And I am Matt Silverman, only one half of this fine equation, because Colette Bennett is not here, because we were unable to align the planets, align the calendars, align the schedules, because it is back to school time for children around the world, and especially my children. So my schedule has been crazy AF, especially waking up much earlier than usual and then having like orientations and back to school things in the evenings. My kids are now in two different schools because my daughter is in middle school now, which was a big transition, and everyone's doing great. We're very happy about that. So there was a lot of back and forth of like, can we do this night? Can we do this night? We can no longer record in the daytime then, therefore, because Colette's schedule is absolutely continues to be bonkers at her job, in a good way. Like, obviously, she's doing some amazing stuff over there at Playboy now, but also, you can't go hard for 10 hours a day every day and expect to be able to consciously podcast in the evening. So we were very much attempting to record last night, which was Thursday, but I was at the middle school orientation until a little too late in the evening. And then I was like, hey, I'm exhausted. I'm sure you're exhausted, but if you want to do a quick one, maybe we could get on. And she was like, there's just no chance. And I'm like, good. That's also fine. So I'm here on Friday morning wishing you good morrow, good video games and gaming to you. And I am here to report in just this brief check-in episode, just a quick hangout with you and I, that I cannot stop playing and thinking about Baldur's Gate 3. This came out of last week's conversation where Colette and I think she noticed that it was on sale on Steam, and then I think it was at its lowest price since launch, which might be like, it's typically a $60 game, but it was on sale for like $47, or it was 20% off, something in that range. And it was like, you know what? This is probably the cheapest it's going to be for the foreseeable future. And we've always been interested in it. And hey, wouldn't it be fun to play it cooperatively as our first Baldur's Gate 3 experience? And this kind of changed the equation in our minds, because when you grab a new single player game, you're like, all right, I need to carve out space in my life and brain to sit down with a 50, 60 hour campaign. Am I going to do that with like a rich story dense whatever? Am I going to do that with cozy farming something? Am I just going to smash monsters in the face with a big old hammer? What is the thing that I'm going to sink my brain into? And for a good while, Baldur's Gate 3 has been a must play for me, having been a longtime fan of the franchise, having played the first two in my youth. And there were two factors, I suppose. One was like, am I going to drop $60 on a game that I'm not prepared to invest my brain into? And also, it launched pretty well and obviously was a big old game of the year for 2023, but also was like, and this part's broken and these quests are bugged and co-op's a little funky and Act 3 sure does run like crap, So I was observing it and saying, I want to enjoy this game when it is fully done and patched and fixed and optimized and when it is the best Baldur's Gate 3 that it can be. And so it has come a long way, it sounds like. And then this conversation that was like Colette and her husband Patrick and Sky Burkson, friend of the show, frequent guest and occasional co-host on this program, we were all like, hey, we should grab this. And what if we played it what if we went through it our first time as a co-op experience, not as a single player experience? And that suddenly changed the equation for me, at least. I'll only speak for myself, which was like, this is no longer, hey, what is the single player game I'm going to invest my time and money and brain in? It was suddenly like, oh, this is going, what if this was now a social hangout experience, this together experience? And that I guess sort of occupies a different space in your life. Going out to dinner with friends does not occupy the same sort of mental space as, I just want to close the door and turn down the lights and like play a cool ass video game. Those to me at least feel like different entities. So suddenly we were like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we got to find time for this. So we had set it up to play early last week. And unfortunately, Colette was just like completely wiped out again because we didn't really get started playing until late 39-ish. But me, Sky, and Patrick did get online, and we hopped into Discord, and we're on voice chat, and Sky hosted the campaign, and we set this up. And I think they had maybe played single player, touched the game a little bit more, but I had never set hands on this game. Despite playing the first two and also having literally just come out of my first Dungeons and Dragons tabletop experience literally the night before. So the mechanism for the game, if you're not sure, is like if you're playing co-op, you really have to start the game together and create your characters together to get the campaign started. And then once you have created your characters and you start, my understanding is that people can drop in and drop out. So if I was not playing one night, then Colette could come in and take control of my character or take control of the canonical story characters, who, if you're playing with a full party, I guess the canonical characters kind of follow along and pop in, pop out in the story. But because you're playing custom characters in your playthrough, you are the party members. So, I may be misstating some things because I don't have the full comparison point. But point is, we created 3 custom characters and then started meeting canonical characters in the playthrough. And because we had 3 customs, there was one more slot for a 4th character. So the character Shadowheart, who you meet very early in the game, and also, this is like literally the first 20 minutes of the game, but like you need to save her from the situation that is in the game in the beginning. And I suppose theoretically you could not save her, and then she is dead, or I don't know what happens. But anyway, we did save her, and now she's part of the party. And Colette, who did not join on that first session, did not create her character. So we think that when it's time for her to rejoin the campaign, she will either take control of Shadowheart or one of our other characters, but I don't think she can create her own, which is kind of a bummer because I know she was very much looking forward to researching classes and races and skills and, spell slots and all this stuff. But so that's where we are. And then I will say that it was really fun creating the character. And then it was really fascinating, like directly coming off of a D&D tabletop campaign, to go in and be like, oh, okay, movement distance and actions and bonus actions and spell slots. And right, oh my God, I literally just learned all of these mechanics, rather than sort of being casually aware of them as a long time, like D&D video game player. Some of the previous D&D video games tend to like do a lot of this stuff for you, but in Baldur's Gate 3, as you probably know, it is very mechanically precise in its D&D-ness. So I think if I had not come out of the tabletop experience, I would have been a little bit like lagging behind Sky and Patrick in our first playthrough. But I was able to figure out like, okay, right, I'm doing this, then we're moving here, whatever. And the long and the short of it is like, I'm really thrilled that we started it as a co-op experience because it truly is a true like tabletop experience. Like you can do and go and fight and kill and save and pickpocket, and you can do whatever you want. We don't have to stay together as a party. We can wander away. We can do conflicting activities. We can listen in on each other's conversations with NPCs and suggest the next step. It's like, it's so collaborative, but obviously the game incentivizes you by placing you in a very dangerous world where you are simply a level 1 character. It incentivizes you to work together and play together, or else you will die. And we have chosen to play structurally as like, there is no save scumming in our playthrough. We are using one save slot, and if we really fuck up and die and lose and everything goes to hell, we can revert to that save. But we are not allowed to say, man, we snuck into this place and then shit went crazy and we killed an NPC that we really thought we needed. And we are saying as a group, that stems the breaks. We cannot go back and revert history on that. So the sort of like the emergent gameplay, the cooperative nature, the whatever we do becomes the canonical thing of our storyline is super interesting and super fun. And just being on voice chat, being like, hey, what the heck is this? Oh my God, get over here. Like, I started a fight and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get my ass kicked. And we're like rushing back. Like, where are you? How do we, hey man, okay, there's a chest over here. Like I'm perceiving that there's a really fucked up trap on this chest. Who's got a trap kit? Okay, wait, so I had created a bard that seems to have high charisma and high dexterity. So I seem to be the character who is able to negotiate social situations and persuasion, and also buff my party with songs that will inspire or add saving throws in combat. But also I'm not going to be the heavy in combat. I'm not going to be the super duper spellcaster. I believe Patrick is a warlock, and Sky is a gnome who has martial arts ability. I don't remember if he's a not a cleric, a monk, or a spellcaster, perhaps a sorcerer or a wizard. So we have an interesting party that doesn't necessarily have like a beefy tank going in, though Shadowheart is a cleric who can definitely, has a sword, a shield and a mace, who can definitely kind of, push through the front line. So it just became this like, again, wildly emergent collaborative thing where we are just doing different things and solving different situations based on our skill sets, which is, again, exactly, I'm saying obvious things. It's literally a D&D tabletop experience, but in this like stunningly beautiful visual feast where like it looks so good. It runs really well on my machine. I have a 3070, which is a pretty excellent card, but also is not like, top of the top. And I'm running everything on Ultra. And so this is also interesting to me. I was playing it on my desktop monitor, which I never do. I always play with a controller, but I was like, it's Baldur's Gate, maybe mouse and keyboard. So I have a widescreen monitor at my desk because I do not have a ton of monitors at my desk. So I use the widescreen real estate for work. And then sometimes, so there are some games where it's like, yeah, this is very nice to experience at a widescreen resolution. So I was pushing the game at 3440 by 1440, which is, pretty good. Runs like a dream on Ultra at that resolution, and I was really enjoying zooming in and zooming out and using the mouse to pull around and getting in the weeds on all the menus and sneaking around and preparing spells and whatever. And I was like, I'm very impressed by this. But then I was also thinking, you know what? I would really enjoy playing this as on the TV as a controller experience. So I switched over to the TV as a monitor for the living room, and then pulled out the DualSense controller and got in there. My motivation for this was twofold. One, I want to play the co-op maybe on the couch now, and also because it has been so difficult to get the four of us together to continue the campaign because, multiple people have kids, jobs are crazy, work schedules, et cetera, we have not regrouped yet to continue the campaign. Meanwhile, I cannot stop thinking about this game. I cannot stop reading about it, watching videos, tutorials, tips, mechanics, what should I do? And I was like, I really want to experience the totality of this game in co-op because I think it's a magical experience, but I simply am too impatient. I cannot just sit by and wait and play this game once a week, once every 2 weeks, which is unfortunately the schedule that 4 adults can muster. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to play this game 2 times at the same time and just call it like a parallel universe, right? We're all playing in the same world, but if I create a radically different character and play in a party with canonical characters, my solo single player experience will be I can already tell because I've already started doing this. It is so fucking different from the co-op experience for 2 reasons. One, I'm going to different places and solving the situational problems radically differently with my half elf, half drow wizard, female wizard, than I am when I'm in a party as a half elf, high elf bard with 2 other players. That's because I'm rolling for different skills in order to open doors, fight enemies, trick people, whatever, than I am with the bard. And then also what I'm realizing is that when I'm in co-op, Sky and Patrick were kind of like doing things and finding things and opening doors and starting fights that and starting conversations that I did not initiate, and vice versa. So when they were doing things in the world, I was sort of either catching up or following along or regrouping from some other action. But when I'm playing solo, I'm initiating everything. I'm doing all the things that I'm doing and seeing all the things. So it is a radically different experience. And it's interesting in co-op because you think, oh, well, I'm going to miss stuff. But in actuality, their gameplay styles as people and their skills as characters are uncovering things that I would never perceive or notice as a bard that maybe I will discover in a different way as a wizard playing separately. So again, it is truly like I'm now playing this game in 2 parallel universes at the same time. And it's fucking glorious. I cannot overstate how, like, what an achievement this game is. And again, I'm not saying anything new. If you have played this or you have read coverage of it, you know that this game is the 2023 game of the year for all the people and all the things. And we said on this show, look, we played and loved Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom was my game of the year 2023. And neither of us touched Baldur's Gate 3. As a video game experience, Tears of the Kingdom, in my mind, remains like the most engaging, powerful story, nostalgia, mechanical, chill out, collect all the things, adventure, combat. Like Tears of the Kingdom had everything that you want from a video game that you don't need spreadsheets to play, right? You can just play it, and I can play it, and a more casual player can play it and enjoy it, and my kids can play it and enjoy it, and my kids can watch me play. It just, Tears of the Kingdom, and of course Breath of the Wild before it, does all the things that a video game does. And for that reason, I think it probably would remain my game of the year 2023, even had I played Baldur's Gate 3. However, even having played 3 to 5 hours of Baldur's Gate 3, I'm already understanding that it is a monumental achievement in video game design and story and mechanics and everything that does truly surpass Tears of the Kingdom in its video game-ness. However, it is not a game for everyone. It is not a game for everyone the way a Zelda or a Mario or whatever, name that mainstream popular game, right? This is a tactics game. This is a tabletop role-playing game, which is enormously popular, but my wife will not play this game and will never play this game. She's sitting next to me playing Vampire Survivors while I play this game. She's like, and listening to dialogue about mind flayers and brains popping out of people and parasites and murder. And she's like, I'm afraid this game I'm afraid of this. Is this Game of Thrones? I'm like, not really. She's like, this game seems fucked up. And she's sort of right. But it is high fantasy, but also very dark. And I think it is more than just elves and wizards. It's like, oh shit, this shit's fucked up. This world is fucked up. And it's and what just happened in the prologue of the game is like really like whoa. So that is my hot take on the popular 2023 video game Baldur's Gate 3. And I wanted to share that with you. And I'm excited to get Colette into the mix with us and play all four of us together. And I am excited to hear her take when she finally gets her hands on it and gets in it, and so that we can talk about it together here. But unfortunately, that has not happened yet. It is Friday the 13th. Oh my God, it's Friday the 13th, friends. It's spoopy time. We're going to try to play it tonight, but again, I just don't know if the planets are going to align on that. So I am a happy clam. I'm going to be playing this game as every second I can get my hands on it, whether that's solo or cooperatively. And all the other games I've been playing, Darkest Dungeon 2, which I freaking love, but I found to be very hard to access mechanically, and I had so many questions. I don't know that the tutorial was explaining that, so I felt very lost, and also motivated to like research and ask questions online of like, what am I missing? How does this work? What happens when your characters die? And it's really not a slight on the game, but it was a bit of a bumpy road getting into it. And what I'm saying is like, I would be playing Darkest Dungeon 2 nonstop if not for Baldur's Gate 3 entering my life as it did. Because Baldur's Gate 3, for whatever reason, it just grabs you by the throat and gets you in, and it ramps you up where you are like, oh, I could understand how combat could get crazy tactical and crazy sophisticated and nuanced. But also this like emergency crazy escape battle that you're starting out with, you're fine. You can just kind of kill these guys, zip around, get out of your situation. Like it is not hammering you with difficulty right out of the gate because it is ramping you up tutorial style. So I just fell madly in love with it, like minute one, basically. And then the other day I was not I didn't know if I wanted to start a solo Baldur's Gate campaign, and I was also not in the mood for like a tactical role-playing thing. And I don't know what reminded me of this, but I remembered this very over-the-top, ridiculous, amazing game called Gory, Gori, Gory Cuddly Carnage, which I have talked about because I played the demo on Switch a while back. I was like, oh yeah, I wonder, when does that game come out? I think that game comes out in September. I was like, nope, came out August 29th or something like that. I was like, thanks, Wishlist, for not telling me. And I was remembering that like the Switch version runs pretty okay at 30 frames, but it's not amazing performance-wise, and it's not amazing visual-wise. And this is a game where you want to be in like it's an action game. You want to be in a flow state. So I was like, oh, right, I was going to get this on Steam. So I grabbed it. It's like $20, $16. And I'm thrilled that I did, because it is really a much nicer experience on a PC. And I probably runs pretty good on a Steam Deck, I would imagine. And if you don't remember, this is just truly an unhinged game where you are a cat who is surfing on a sentient hoverboard and chopping the heads off of what seem to be zombie-infected adorable unicorns who are bloodthirsty zombies. And you are in a cyberpunk space punk type of world where your ship is like, you go down to this planet, I don't know if it's Earth, and you go down and it's like, oh, shit's fucked up and we got to get it. And this was the game that my wife was very unhappy with, because I booted up the demo being like, what's up with this? And was like, hey kids, check this out. And it is just full of cursing, F-bombs, inappropriate humor. And I think it's very good, and it's very like over the top, unhinged, like in a good way. It's like if a very smart 14-year-old wrote a cyberpunk cat surfing game. Like, I'm not saying that it's not good. I'm saying it's very self-aware is what I would say. So it is so over the top that it becomes ridiculous, and that's fun. But it is not appropriate for children. It is just ridiculously gory, and it is just like really, really rough language. Not just like, oh, what the fuck, that's like one level of it, but there are also like bosses in the game that are like, I'm gonna fuck you so hard and eat your head, and what, like, just like really like intense, gruesome kind of language and cutscenes and things like that. But anyway, this game rules because you are surfing around a cyberpunk city on a hoverboard, and then the hoverboard is talking to you while you're doing stuff, and also swords fly out of you are spinning around on the hoverboard, and sword blades whip around, and you can boost into turbo mode and become like a sword tornado. So you are just slicing through zombie unicorns, and then as they get knocked over, you are also doing finishers on the unicorns, where you just like flip up into a super skateboard move, and then you like slam down on them and cut their heads off, and then you're regenerating health and energy, and you're also grinding on like psychedelic rails to regenerate your energy, and slicing open cyber trucks that are on the landscape to also regenerate your health and energy as you do. And then you are buying upgrades like a big old mace hammer that whips out of the hoverboard and smashes the enemies that have armor. So you got to smash them, and then you slice them up. And it is just like an over the top, I've never played a Dynasty Warriors, whatever game, but it seems like that sort of hordes of enemies that all die in one hit. So it's just like mobs and mobs, and you go, you slice them up in a tornado, you regenerate your energy, you smash these other armor guys with a big hammer, and then you grind on a rail and you shoot through the corridor, the sewer. And it definitely feels like it can be like an action flow state game where you're just like, you're mashing, but you're also being very strategic and precise with using your energy and your different weapon styles. And then you're getting money, and you're upgrading your abilities and adding new abilities at the shop. It is not roguelike. It is not run-based. It appears to be very linear. So it's not, as far as I've gotten so far, it is not open world and it is not run-based. It is, you're in the sewers here and you're fighting these guys and you're learning the game and then you're beating a boss and then you go to the next place and then you're fighting through that and you're doing this. And so it is really like a turn your brain off, kill everything in your path and level up and then kill more stuff. And it is just phenomenal. Especially if you get that playing at a higher frame rate and where things are running very smoothly. I assume if it's on Switch, then it's probably on PS5 and Xbox Series. But check your local listings. It's definitely on Steam. That's gory, GORI, cuddly carnage. Highly recommend if you are not interested in looking at stats and dice rolls and more interested in chopping heads off of some fucking weird ass unicorns, baby. That's what video games are for. So we'll chat with you next week. Hopefully we can resume the Baldur's Gate co-op experience. If you have any thoughts or tips or insights on why you chose to play solo, chose to play co-op, was BG3 your game of the year and why? Why or why not? Are you not a D&D RPG fan and you're not interested in this video game? Sound off in the comments. Smash that like button. Thanks always for listening. Join the Discord if you're not there already, because we have been talking about, and this is the show we wanted to do this week. Eurogamer released a lovely editorial list of the 100 best video games that you can play right now is sort of the angle of that list. So it is not sort of the 100 best video games of all time. It is not the 100 best video games of any particular year or period of time. It is simply saying we got the whole crew at Eurogamer together and said, okay, if you told a friend to sit down and play an amazing video game that you can download or buy today on any platform, what would you recommend? And then now they have this amazing list of 100 games that are action games, role-playing games, platformers, shooters, space sims, whatever tickles your fancy. There's something on this list for you, including many indie darlings and also games that we have never heard of. Very obscure, random things that we are not familiar with. So it's like, hey, if you are looking for something that's highly recommended that you don't know about, there's also some gems on there. So in the Discord, we have been playing this little game of like, okay, out of these 100, how many have you played? And which ones are they? So what we were going to do today was to go through the list and be like, played that. Oh, never played that. Always wanted to play that. Here's one. Sounds cool. We'll never play it. I don't care about this game, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was going to be a fun angle for our episode. So, and we were interested in having you play along at home, the home game, to see how many of these games you have played out of 100, which is, then we'd all have these little percentages, completion meters, if you will. So I hope that we will get to do that next week, and do check out the list if that sounds interesting to you. For now, happy gaming. Let us know what you're interested in the Discord, and just always got to remind you when you're done listening to your podcasts, please be kind and rewind. Talk at you next week. Bye.